We are living in a real-time world, and I'm a real-time girl. Anyway, I have to sing the song before I can interview you. And it is on YouTube. It's going to be what I'm famous for, unfortunately. But so I made this film, Life in Perpetual Beta, which I already told you what it was about. But I didn't tell you how I made it, which is pretty amazing in itself. So I homeschool my 3 children, and I am on Twitter so that I can interact with adults. So when I have 5 seconds, right, when I have 5 seconds, I was like, holy hell, I'm gonna kill all of these children. But then I noticed something was happening out there in the world, that I could do this, and it was amazing. So I decided to make a film about it. Never picked up a camera before in my life. Just knew that I had a lot of questions that I couldn't get answered with the people that I knew, and knew that a camera would empower me to do that. So I went out and started interviewing people. And I just asked, the folks on Twitter, who should I interview? And they would give me suggestions. I would email people and set up interviews. Pretty soon I had a lot of followers who were very passionate about what I was doing, because I wasn't vetting any of these people that I would interview. So I interviewed Seth Godin, I interviewed Jeff Pulver, I interviewed Jason Fried of 37 Signals, I interviewed Dan Pink, who wrote A Whole New Mind. I interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk, and none of these people did I find out what they were doing. I interviewed Liz Dansko, a bunch of designers, some Kevin Lyman, who runs the Vans Warped Tour here in LA. I interviewed all those folks, not knowing who they were, not knowing what they did, just trying to get a really human connection. And I have 45 hours of footage of these amazing interviews. I had no idea what I was doing. But I didn't have a budget or any of that. I would just tweet out, hey, I'm about to go to New York. Who does? Exactly, right? So I'm about to go to New York, and I need a shooter and a place to stay, and people would send me $30, and I put their name in the credits. So the film was built $30 at a time, for name in the credits and t-shirts. So I learned a lot of stuff along the way. I mean, that's an incredible story. I think the best part of that story, like the thing that really captures it, I went to South by Southwest to speak. And I did it, I homeschooled my kids. My husband works for a not-for-profit. We didn't have a lot of money. We have money now. I do a lot of consulting now after this 2 years of filming. I know a lot of shit. So I was speaking at South by Southwest. We didn't have money for airfare. I was like, I'm going to talk there. I still don't know how I'm getting there. 10 minutes later, I had a plane ticket. Someone just bought a plane ticket. They're like, you've worked too hard not to have this happen. And that's an incredible community thing. But I got to South by Southwest 2008 with $40 in my pocket and no place to stay. My luggage checked into the Hilton every day. And I had no place where I was going to stay that night, because I was trying to live this perpetual beta. Like, what happens if you don't have a plan? Is a plan like worth living anymore with all of this technology and all of these connections we have? But I got there, and of course every night I didn't have a place to stay. In fact, some of those nights I stayed in mansions. Some of those nights I slept on the floor. Someone showed up that was a personal stylist with a wardrobe for me to wear, clothes that cost more than my rent, that I could wear that night. So I had a stylist, I had free jewelry, people would just give me stuff. It was very weird, it was very surreal. So that kind of captures kind of the Cinderella thing that happened. It didn't happen to me, I made it happen. I was passionate about it, and people are passionate about me, so they made it happen that way. But some of the things that I realized is that we are in this contextual revolution. We are changing the way we think about ourselves. We no longer do people think about who they are as just themselves and just their family. We are extensions of our network. This only happened because not that I did it, but all of these other people made it so. And something that is really amazing to me, and my next film will be about it. I just interviewed Esther Dyson. If any of you who know who she is, she's amazing. But what I noticed is, because we have all of this access to information, like we all have the world in our pocket, right? We can look up anything. We're excited about something right now, in this moment, we can look that up. We can check it out. We can go down the rabbit hole until we are sated in our curiosity. And I come from a coaching background. I was a life coach to creatives. And so this is interesting to me in that when people didn't know what to do with their lives, you know, they came to me and I don't know what to do, I would ask them to have a preference. I was like, just spend some time deciding, you know, what color you like better, green or blue. What movie you like better, what movie you want to see, because people will, you know, normally when you go out to a movie, people are like, you know, what do you want to see? Oh, it doesn't matter, but it does. It does matter what you want to see. So have a preference. But the internet allows us, right, to have a preference. What are you going to click on? You're going to click on this link or this link. One of them you're going to like better than the other one. So the point is that people are starting to understand themselves better now because they have all these choices and have to make these decisions very quickly. So, do you agree with that? Do you not agree with that? Do you think that's right? Okay. All right, I just wonder if I was onto something with that. So the whole next film is going to be about that. It's about people getting to know themselves better. So I think now that we have all this access to this information, we can chase our passions down to minutia. You know, it's very rare that you can find nothing online about something you're interested in, no matter what that is. We're going to get a lot more self-aware people, and they're not even going to realize that. You know, people aren't going to realize that. My kids don't realize that. You know, they can go look for anything, right? But we're going to become a lot more self-actualized, and you can see that happening now. I mean, if you all agree with that. So, what else? I completely lost my train of thought because I'm like, I need to look up something else up now. So we are in the middle of this contextual revolution where everything is changing, how we are thinking about who we are. I don't know if that guy's talking to me or not. I made a good choice. Yeah, I totally forgot. So we are in this contextual revolution where, there was the Industrial Revolution that kind of changed everything and threw us into this process. And we're all used to this process now. In the last 100 years, they actually say the Industrial Revolution started in the 1300s. We're going to say the last 100 years, we've been putting everything into this very linear system. And we introduced this web, this connection to everything. And now we see that system doesn't work for the way we live now. We're throwing ourselves into this revolution of we're no longer living linear. We have to live laterally. We have to live everywhere all the time because that's kind of where it's going. So you can see this happening with businesses. Businesses can no longer plan in advance, can they? They have to be very agile. They can plan maybe 6 months to a year, but there's no more 5-year and 10-year plans because technology moves so fast that business has to move with it. Otherwise, they die. I mean, that's what we're seeing now. This, one is because of greedy people, but this economic downturn is part of that. And there's this contextual uprising, this spiritual uprising, while all these people saying, Obama, yes we can, or whatnot. But that's happening because of all this access to information. So, anyway, we're going to show my film at lunchtime. If you are around, it's 40 minutes. It's got a lot of good people in it. It's going to play up here. Keeping in mind that I also had to learn editing along the way in those 2 years because it's not something I knew. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It'll probably play at Blog World too. I haven't heard the definitive on that, but that'll be awesome. And if you want to continue this conversation, my Twitter handle is @MelissaPierce. If you don't want to talk to me and hear me bitch about my kids, it's @LIPB, that's the film. And of course the website to see all of the interviews is lifeinperpetualbeta.com. It is all.